Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Sugar Mama's Fire Play podcast. I am financial planner Canna Campbell. Now, today's podcast is actually an older podcast that I've previously recorded. The reason why I'm sharing it again is because it's one of my most empowering podcasts I've ever made. In fact, it's probably the podcast that I'm most proud of. And the reason why is because it's the story behind the $1,000 project. Now, you might be thinking, okay, Canna, we know what the $1,000 project's about. Why are you telling us about it all again? Well, there's a story behind it, a really important story. It's my story. Because, you see, I built the $1,000 project up from ground zero, from absolutely nothing. This project came out of a really dark place in my life, a really challenging place. It was fresh off the back of my separation. And I built this portfolio with absolutely nothing from my base salary and absolutely nothing from my savings. So when you're thinking about your own financial situation and your own financial goals, I want you to think about the $1,000 project. And if I can do this myself and build a six-figure investment portfolio without touching any savings and without touching my base salary, imagine what you could do for yourself in achieving your own financial goals and dreams. Also, one other quick disclaimer. Whilst the $1,000 project in this podcast at the time of recording, it was worth $255,000. With the recent market pullback, which is to be expected, very healthy and very normal, the portfolio is currently worth approximately $225,000. So it's come back by about $30,000 in value, so just over 10%. But you might be wondering, okay, wow, Canna, that's a lot. Am I worried? Absolutely. I'm not worried. So you might be wondering, Canna, are you worried about that at all? Well, no, absolutely not worried at all. In fact, I'm excited. My heart's beating a little bit faster with joy because for me, this presents an opportunity, a buying opportunity. Of course, a long-term buying opportunity because I'm a high-growth investor and I'm comfortable with investment risk. But what the important thing that I want to highlight to you is I don't really care about what really the portfolio is worth. What I care about is the passive income that my portfolio creates. How much passive income am I earning from my investments? How much does this count towards me achieving my mindful money number? And to answer your question, which I'm sure you're wondering, well, with this market pullback, has your income pulled back? Well, the answer is no. My passive income from my diversified share portfolio has not pulled back at all. In fact, it's grown. The reason why is I've continued on investing, buying shares $1,000 at a time for my portfolio. So in fact, my passive income is up and I'm really proud. All right, enough from me. You need to hear this story, my story, the story behind the $1,000 project. And of course, please don't forget to leave a rating and a review.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Sugar Mama's Fire Play podcast. I am financial planner Canna Campbell. Before we begin this morning's podcast, a quick reminder that my videos, my podcasts, and my blog posts, and anything you see on Instagram are always general advice only. I'm never giving you personal advice. It's never any product advice. And if you ever hear something or see something or read something, think, oh, I wonder if that's going to be right for me. That is when you should always reach out and speak to a qualified, licensed financial planner and ask for personal advice.
One of my proudest financial accomplishments has got to be the creation of the $1,000 project. And even though this challenge made me build a diversified share portfolio and a growing passive income stream in my life, the reason why it's my proudest financial moment is actually it's got nothing to do with money. The reason why I'm so proud of the $1,000 project is because how it has helped me and how it has helped so many others. The $1,000 project helped me through a really challenging, frightening time. It helped me get back on my feet again emotionally. It helped give me a sense of self-worth and self-confidence, which I desperately needed at a very sort of emotionally crippling time. The $1,000 project has also helped so many other people around the world in so many different financial situations, facing different financial challenges. and has helped those people achieve a variety of different financial goals. Little goals, medium-sized goals, and big goals. Personal goals, lifestyle goals, and of course, financial goals. And that is why I'm so incredibly proud of the $1,000 project, because it has helped people both financially and emotionally, including myself. Now, if you've never heard of the $1,000 project, it is where I took one really big financial goal and broke it down into bite-sized, mini, manageable, and achievable goals. And for me, it was just focusing on $1,000 at a time, coming up with ways to save, earn, manifest, and create $1,000 at a time. And the moment I had that $1,000, I immediately invested it. And I have built a 6-figure share portfolio from doing this. And that portfolio now pays me a growing passive income stream, which currently grosses around about $8,300 per year and is growing all the time. Now, I'll come back to that share portfolio in a second, but I want to take you back in time to when the $1,000 project came about, how it was created, how it was born. And the reason why I want to share this with you, because it's quite a personal story. You see, about 5 years ago, I launched my YouTube channel, Sugar Mama TV. And I hit the YouTube market with a bang. I got all my videos professionally filmed. I sat in my house with a full face of makeup and professional hair. And I told everyone how I was married. I had a son. I had 2 dogs. This is my house. And you gosh, I look at my original YouTube videos and I cringe with embarrassment because I was like so uptight and so formal and like very serious, like a news reporter. And my style has really evolved and changed, thank goodness. But anyway, I hit the YouTube market with a bang, you know, all these videos out there, sharing with everyone, you know, I was married. And 2 or 3 weeks into my YouTube channel being launched and friends and family watching these videos, my marriage concluded. And my life went into a tailspin. And I myself was left in a new challenging situation, emotionally and financially. You see, to get out of my relationship at the time, as an amicable and as fast way as possible, I had to take on a huge new financial responsibility, one that really, limited my lifestyle and my budget. But I was determined that this was the best thing for all of us, and it was all about, keeping my son in the same routine in a familiar environment so that we could all quickly get on with our lives and heal and move on into whatever direction we all wanted. And so I was also dealing with an emotionally draining position, as everyone goes through when a relationship ends. And I had also just come off the back of some really challenging emotional times. I have suffered severe postnatal depression and anxiety, and I was still in a very fragile place. I was definitely better, but I was on that long journey of healing. And if you ever want to know about my experience, you can always jump on my YouTube channel. I've actually made a video about how I overcame postnatal depression and anxiety. But anyway, there I was, sitting in my home, a single mother now, with a huge financial responsibility and the emotional drain running through my body. I was full of fear. I was full of anxiety. The world was spinning around me and I just didn't know where all these balls were going to land. And quite often I felt like I was going to collapse in a heap. And then to add another challenge, I had this new world that I had created, which was my world. It was my true, authentic world. But I was opening up my life on YouTube, and now I had to share all my vulnerabilities and what was going on in my life on YouTube. And, you're sharing it with people, with all sorts of different thoughts and opinions. And yes, some people were supportive and some people weren't. And on that note of support, because I took on this huge new responsibility financially in my life, there were people around me that laughed at me and mocked me and laughed in my face and said, you can't even take the bins out at night. There's no way you're going to cope financially with this huge new mortgage that you've taken on to get out of your relationship. And they pretty much like mocked me and laughed at me and had a huge smile on their face. It was almost like they were going to get great satisfaction watching me fail because they firmly believed there was no way I could do it. But being the stubborn, determined person that I was, even though I was shaking with fear inside, I was determined to give it my very, very best and to try and make my son, Rocco, proud. Anyway, as I was juggling this own financial personal challenge of myself and setting up my, YouTube channel and growing my YouTube platform, I was still really passionate about my message. And the three things that I really wanted to install into my followers on YouTube were, number one, we're not defined by our 9-to-5 jobs. We're not defined by our current financial situation. So many times I would hear people say to me, I can't afford to invest. I can't afford to save. I can't afford to go and, if I save up a deposit to buy a home, I only earn this much. Like, I have to wait until I'm earning much more to be able to do those sorts of things. In the meantime, I'll just, spend what I can, live my life and spend and not even bother trying. And I used to think that is so frustrating because, yes, you might earn that salary, but that's only right now. And there are lots of promotions and opportunities and pay rises and, other things you can do to raise your bar when it comes to your income. And also, yes, you work 9-to-5, but you can get up early in the morning and do some work. You can work on the weekends. You can work at nighttime. There are things you can do to help bring in extra money. And I really wanted to, break that stigma or that assumption or get people thinking outside of the square when it comes to earning money and extra money. The second thing that I wanted to install is the importance of proactively and mindfully moving money towards your financial goals. You see, so often we're given opportunities to save money, discounts, coupons, windfalls, bonuses, pay rises, and the financial vultures come out and they eat away those savings. It's called, the income bracket creep, where often we get a pay rise and then 3 months later it's like we've never had that pay rise because we're still living paycheck to paycheck again. And what's happened is our lifestyle's gone up in accordance or in alignment with that pay rise. Or, for example, someone might shout you a free lunch and technically it saves you $20. But by the end of the week, that $20 that you technically saved right then and there has evaporated. It's somehow been spent on something else. So what I wanted to do is show people how to be aware of this and how to be mindful with this and how to stop it. And quarantine any financial windfalls before the financial vultures or before the financial evaporation kicks into your money. You see, in that example, when you went to lunch with that person shouted you that $20 lunch, and you decided, you know what, instead of just not really being grateful for that savings, I'm going to actually proactively and mindfully transfer that $20 savings that I would have just spent if it hadn't been for my friend graciously and generously paying for my lunch. I'm going to transfer that $20 into a separate savings account. I guarantee, but at the end of that week, that $20 is still there. But if you hadn't transferred that money proactively and mindfully, that $20 savings would be completely and utterly gone. So I wanted to teach people, if you want to save something, get the money out of your way, out of temptation, into a separate dedicated savings account. Then the third thing that I wanted to install for my YouTube followers was the journey, the adventure beyond simple savings. Don't get me wrong, learning how to budget, learning how to save money is an essential foundation to building financial freedom and independence. But the thing is, saving money, and I'm talking about, going beyond, the saving of your deposits and the savings of paying down your debt and managing your money can only take you so far when it comes to building wealth. You see, when it comes to investing, that's when you really start to get your money working for you. You start not just building up money in a savings account, but you start building up an investment portfolio, and you might even start earning passive income. And the more passive income that you have, the more financial freedom and independence you have in your life. And that passive income can help pay for your holiday each year, or it might help allow you to work part-time, or it might help pay for your children's education, or it might even help pay for your mortgage repayments. So I wanted to take people down a path and educate them, empower them, and give them all the right tools and knowledge and guidance to be able to embark on smart, intelligent investing. And I'm not talking about cryptocurrency, I'm not talking about penny stocks, I'm not talking about mining stocks, I'm talking about blue chip industrial stocks. Probably the ones that, if your grandparents ever invested, those types of investments. Very simple, very easy, and very accessible. So those were the three, missions for me in my YouTube channel. And as I sat there and I felt completely defeated, and I was like, here I am trying to teach people how to do all these things, yet I'm now in a situation where my emotional energy levels are really flatlined. And I have no new money to invest. All my savings went to my legal fees and to taking on my new massive financial responsibility, also known as a mortgage. And as I said, there was no money in my budget to invest, which is what I'd always been passionate about in the past. So I looked at what I was trying to show people, and I looked at my situation and the disappointment and the frustration I felt for myself not being able to invest. And I said to myself, Canna, how have you achieved your financial goals in the past? And I looked it back and I realized so often I have taken one big challenging goal and broken it down into mini bite-sized, manageable, and achievable goals. Just focused on, a little bit at a time, whatever I could do right then and there, and just done it. And it's that saying, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And for me, I realized that the number of $1,000 was definitely a large amount of money. And don't get me wrong, I still think $1,000 is a large amount of money. But it wasn't an inconceivable amount of money. And I thought to myself, you know what, Canna, if you could just find ways of bringing in some extra money, and obviously you can't, all your salary is going towards the family budget, and trust me, my budget was so tight. Like I'm talking to the nearest, $5, $10. I look back and think, how on earth did I ever get myself through that time? But I did. And I decided that I would have a go at trying to find ways to bring in extra money. And every time I got that money, no matter whether it was $5, $10, $100, $50, I would put it in a separate dedicated savings account. And the moment I had $1,000 saved up, I would go and invest that into a large Australian company, an industrial company on the Australian Stock Exchange, whether it be a bank, whether it be a supermarket, whether it be a pharmaceutical company, but a company that had been around for a long time, that paid consistent dividends, and had a reliable track record and reasonable available research around it. But it was a long-term buy, and I agreed I would reinvest all the dividends, and the moment I invested $1,000, I would go back and try and repeat that process again and again to come up with my next $1,000. And I thought, you know what, this is great, I'm going to do this, but I'm going to put this on my YouTube channel. And I'm going to call this the $1,000 project. And this is perfect because I'm going to lead by example. Those three things that I really want to show my viewers on YouTube, I'm going to be doing it myself. So I'm there's proof in the pudding with me. And so I did it. And I opened up, as I said, a separate dedicated savings account, and I nicknamed it the $1,000 project. And as I said, my first mission was to prove to people that you're not defined by your 9-to-5 salary. So what I did was I worked on the weekends. I worked in the morning. I decluttered the excess furniture in my home and sold them online on eBay and Gumtree. And I have to say, this was really cathartic and added so much efficiency into my life because suddenly my house became a lot easier and quicker to clean and keep organized. I also decluttered my wardrobe. I adopted the French philosophy of the capsule wardrobe collection, and I only held on to the really classic, timeless pieces that were really versatile. So I was able to get rid of all the excess, the, fast fashion items that were, fads that no longer served me or suited me or fitted me anymore. And again, I sold those to the secondhand economy. I also enrolled into a range of market research companies and did online surveys to help bring in money. And it was amazing how quickly it added up. I also took on extra work. I did weird, fun financial challenges such as Frugal February and Manifesting March. I rented out my house occasionally on weekends to bring in some extra money through Airbnb. I just literally turned over every single stone. And I also shared with people what I was doing, because when I did this, even though some people judged me and were embarrassed and mocked me, a lot of people also supported me and respected what I was doing and found it really admirable and then sometimes even inspiring. And they would often give me more ideas or more opportunities or connections to people that were going to help me come up with my next $1,000. And so I just literally seized every single opportunity. I grabbed, the bull by its horns and went with it. Put my head down, bum up, and just focused on $1,000 at a time. The moment I had $1,000, transferred it into my online share trading account and invested that money. Anyway, to cut a long story short, by the 12-month period was up, I had saved and invested $32,000 and built a diversified share portfolio that was paying me a passive income of over $1,600. Now, in my first podcast, I shared with you the analogy of money being energy and money being like the water in the ocean. The ocean is always moving, just like money. Sometimes it's a big, scary storm out there, and sometimes it's a lake. And I definitely went through these emotions of the ocean with the $1,000 project. There were times where I was surfing these incredible barrels. I was in the green room, as Anthony Robbins would say, I was in the zone. I was getting email notifications going, this person's bidding, that person's bidding, this is now sold on Gumtree, this is, ready to be posted, here's your PayPal notification being you've got paid, here's a market research job that you've been booked in, here's an online survey, here's a discount code from your local supermarket to save $10 off your next shop, here's an Airbnb booking, oh, here's a cupboard I've just discovered with more stuff, or a drawer that I've discovered that I've forgotten about with stuff that I don't really need anymore. Yes, I can go list that on the secondhand economy. All these windfalls. And that was when I was in the zone. It was the weather was sunny, the water was warm, the waves were incredible. It was perfect. And, it was just brilliant. I was, coming up with $1,000 after $1,000 or getting closer and closer to my next $1,000. But then there were times when it was a lake and it was dead and it was boring and there were no opportunities and no one was bidding on my stuff on eBay and no one was interested in stuff I was selling on Gumtree. And it was frustrating and I'd get angry and annoyed, and I had to learn to make peace with that, to accept that was what it was, and use that time to rebuild my motivation levels and energy levels so that when those waves picked up again, I had the energy to paddle back out there and catch those waves. And I had to also learn, and this is one of the emotional benefits in what the $1,000 project brought into my life, was I had to learn to be grateful. Grateful for every single opportunity that came my way. You see, if money is like energy and money is like water, water is equal. So therefore we should respect it and be grateful for it equally, no matter how big or how small that water is. So even when I got an opportunity to save $2, I had to accept it in the same way I'd be grateful for $200, because it all adds up. And it's really amazing when you're doing the $1,000 project, you realize the power of lots of little bits adding up here and there, because it's incredible what it adds up to. And then, of course, there were those horrendous, frightening storms with lightning bolts, thunder, tsunamis, big scary waves where I did not want to go out there. It looked way too dangerous, way too scary, and I just wanted to stay snuggled up in my beach towel sitting on the beach. But I had to get out there. And those were the times when, I might have got an unexpected bill that wiped out, when I got close to having my next $1,000. Or, I had different expenses coming in, or things didn't quite go to plan, or, something happened, a curveball happened. And again, for the growth that came to me from doing the $1,000 project during these particular times was I realized I was grateful that I had this money. So, for example, if, say, a parking ticket happened, well, then, yes, that was annoying and a punch in the guts, but I would have to take that money out of the $1,000 project and pay that parking fine. But I'd have to be humble and grateful and go, thank goodness I'm doing this, because otherwise I wouldn't have had that money to pay that parking fine. And I went through this wave of emotions, and it was exciting, it was exhilarating, it was satisfying, and also it was frustrating and annoying. And sometimes I wanted to go, I just want to spend this on something really nice for myself. I want to go and buy a nice pair of shoes. I've always investing this money. Like, yes, there were times, but I didn't. I didn't crack. I didn't go and buy a pair of shoes or a new handbag. I stuck to my game plan. And I'll tell you what, obviously putting it out on YouTube makes you very, very accountable. Anyway, as I said, I did 1 year of this. And as I said, $32,000 was saved and invested. Now, when I got to the year, it was exactly 12 months had passed, and I looked at my portfolio, and everything is tracked through this software program called Premium. And obviously, I could see everything through my bank transactions. And I was so proud of myself, and I was exhausted, don't get me wrong, but I was chuffed. And I thought, you know what, Canna, if someone had told you 12 months ago you were going to save and invest a portfolio of $32,000, I would laugh in their face myself and say, no way. I am on such a tight budget. I have no spare money. I had this huge, great big mortgage, and I am emotionally drained. There's nothing left in me. I'm terrified. I feel like I'm ashamed. I'm embarrassed. Like I was, but what the difference was here is I dared to set a goal for myself, and I dared to have a go. And that is why I ended up with an investment portfolio where I had invested and grown $32,000. And it was $32,000 that I had invested. So the portfolio was actually worth more at the time. And it's because I set myself this simple goal. Now, since starting the $1,000 project, I have gone on to do, I'm currently sitting through round 5. And the portfolio is worth, even with the impact of COVID-19, which has probably knocked about, I think 25% of most share markets around the world, the portfolio now pays a net passive income of $6,300 a year, approximately. And that income actually goes to charity every single year. The first year I started the $1,000 project, I did a sneaky, cheeky marketing campaign to get people on board with this, because I thought, who's going to be interested in growing a share portfolio? How boring. But I said I was building up a portfolio of passive income that would help pay for a designer handbag every year. And sure enough, people were like, oh, I like the sound of this. I can buy myself a luxury designer handbag every year, and it's not out of my own money. It's my investment portfolio that pays it. And so that was, I guess, the cheeky grab for people. But anyway, when I got to the end of this, I was like, no, Mom, I don't need to go and buy a handbag. I haven't come all this way to use the passive income to buy a handbag. And don't get me wrong, I love a designer handbag. And if you follow me on Instagram or know my YouTube videos, you'll know I love a designer handbag. But to me, the $1,000 project wasn't about this. It was bigger and better. And so I donated the money, round 1, to Gidget Foundation. It's a foundation that supports women for postnatal depression and postnatal anxiety. Round 2, I donated the money to an orphanage in Jakarta, to this amazing woman, to help her build another building. And it shows you how far money can go in certain countries that are underdeveloped. But it helped build a building so she could take in more children, get more children off the streets. Round 3, the passive income was donated to Rise Up Australia, which helps families who are victims of domestic violence. It helps get them into new homes, helps them put clothes on their back, food in their fridges, and helps them rebuild their lives and heal. Then Round 4 was a different strategy because it was about it was a very quick burst and I'll explain the rules behind the $1,000 project in a second. And now round 5 we've teamed up with World Vision and their 1,000 Girl movement. So World Vision have given me a small town in Myanmar, and the passive income is going to them every year as long as the $1,000 project continues. So that means at the very least, World Vision, this town, will be receiving at least $6,300 every single year in passive income from the $1,000 project. And I hope to continue on doing this. I will continue on building up this investment portfolio. Now, you may be saying, all right, Canna, this is great. Like, why are you sharing this with me? Well, a couple of reasons, actually lots of reasons. Number one, when you set yourself a financial goal, or any sort of goal, but a goal that's meaningful and powerful, it's amazing what you can achieve for yourself when you put your head, heart, and mind to it. Number two, you are not defined by your salary. You can do all sorts of different things to bring in extra money, earn extra money. You could do work on the weekends. You could sell things. You can start up a small business. You could walk dogs. You could do babysitting work. You might have a hobby or a hack or a talent that you can pay people. You could do translation. You can do online tutoring. You can do Airtasker. You can become an Uber driver. There are millions of different things you can do to bring in money. You're not defined by your financial situation. And not a dollar of my own salary or savings, and I say base salary because obviously I worked on the weekends, went to the $1,000 project. It was all extra things that I did in my life to create extra money that I could proactively put towards my separate savings account. The third thing is, as I said, I proactively moved that money into a separate dedicated savings account away from temptation. Because as I shared with you, and everyone knows this, if you don't get money out of your way, it's very easy for those financial vultures or the financial evaporation effect to kick in, and that money just goes and you're left scratching your head. And then finally, why I want to share with you the $1,000 project is you don't necessarily have to do the $1,000 project for investing. You see, when I put this out on YouTube, there were so many people who decided to join in with me, and I was amazed. And I received so many emails from people around the world. I received emails from people in Iceland. I've received emails from people in Ireland. I received emails from people in Venezuela. I received emails from people in America. I received emails from people in Singapore. All these different people doing their version of the $1,000 project. And they weren't necessarily doing it for investing. They were doing it for passionate things in their lives, such as saving up for IVF, saving up for a deposit on their first home, saving up to help pay for a wedding, saving up to finally pay off all the debt in their lives, such as credit card debt, saving up to help pay for their next holiday, saving up to help pay for their children's education. There was a wide range of different things that people were doing the $1,000 project for, which actually, in fact, also included someone doing it to help pay for cosmetic surgery. Now, the great thing about the $1,000 project is you create your own rules. It doesn't need to be the $1,000 project. It could be the $100 project. If you think $1,000 is too big for you and too inconceivable, that's fine. Start small. Start simple. Try and come up with $100. And then the moment you have that $100, put it towards a goal that excites you. It could even be a handbag if that's what you would like. It also may be the €1,000 project or the £500 project. You see, people around the world were doing this in their own currency and with their own rules and regulations. And yes, for myself personally, I didn't use any of the money from my base salary for the $1,000 project. But you might do your budget and you might realize, actually, I really want to do this, and I've done my budget, and I've realised I've actually got $200 per month spare that I could potentially put towards my version of the $1,000 project. You can do that. That's fine, because remember, you create your own rules. And yes, I took 12 months to do the $1,000 project, particularly the first couple of rounds. But yours could be, a round that just goes for 3 months, or 5 months, or 6 months, or 1 month even, or 10 days. That's perfectly fine. But if you find a goal for yourself no matter what it might be, a lifestyle goal, a personal goal, a financial goal, it doesn't really matter. As long as it's a goal that excites you, ignites a passion within you to really want to do this. And then see how you go. Have a good crack. Because it is so easy to do the $1,000 project. And you may not necessarily take it that seriously, and that's okay. You can lean into this. But I guarantee you, as you start to see progress, because you have to always track your progress with the $1,000 project. You always make a note of how much you've saved, how much you've transferred, and you regularly check your separate dedicated savings account that's collecting all this spare extra money in your life. It starts to ignite a greater wave of motivation and excitement for the $1,000 project. You just have that, as Oprah calls it, that aha moment. You're like, oh, wow. Oh my goodness, I've already got $500 saved up. That was quick. I didn't expect it to be that fast. Wow, this feels good. I might keep going. And it feels so goddamn good. It is so exciting when you see your savings build up, or you transfer $1,000 towards that disgusting, dirty credit card debt that you've been like, it's been on your shoulders for long, or you start realizing, oh, I'm going to book this holiday soon. I've got enough money saved up for my airfare. I've got enough money saved up for accommodation, and I've almost got my spending money saved up for the holiday. Like it is euphoric. It's like a financial orgasm. And it's also a massive relief of stress off your shoulders, because you realize you're actually quite good with money, because you're starting to be mindful with money. You're starting to respect the flow of money. And this is all the powerful awareness and growth and beautiful enlightenment that comes from doing the $1,000 project that goes beyond the money, the dollars, the pounds, the euros, the numbers. And you feel so proud about yourself. You have a certain glow, a certain spring in your step as you realize you've got this. You're actually doing it. And you start to open up your mind and think, well, you know what? I achieved that goal. It may have been simple, it may have been small, or it may not have been at all. It may have been a massive one. But you raise your benchmark. You realize actually how powerful and how strong you are. And when you've achieved that goal, you start thinking about, well, what's my next $1,000 project goal going to be? Is it going to be a deposit on a home? Is it going to be maybe paying off my home? Is it going to be maybe daring to build an investment portfolio and start earning passive income so your money is now working for you rather than you working for money? You see, this is the magic of the $1,000 project. It's a journey, and it can take you to so many amazing, wonderful places where you really expand, you really grow, you really gain a new depth and enlightenment in your life. So the reason why I'm sharing this story with you is because the $1,000 project for me was actually born out of a really crippling financially and emotionally time. And I look at what I've built with so much pride and satisfaction. And those people who thought I would fall flat on my face, that the wheels would fall off and I wouldn't survive financially, I've proved those people wrong. And I've even found out, since creating the $1,000 project, those people who questioned me, mocked me, laughed at me, judged me, were maybe even embarrassed by me, and had those smug smiles on their faces, who told me I couldn't even take the bins out at night and I wouldn't be able to survive, I found out some of those people are even doing the $1,000 project themselves. So my advice to you is, why don't you have a crack? Why don't you today, after listening to this podcast, think of one very simple, easy goal that you would like to achieve? Maybe it's a new pair of shoes. Maybe it is to pay off your credit card debt. Maybe it is just save up a certain amount of money so that you sleep well at night, and that can be your emergency saving money. Or maybe it's something like an investment portfolio. It really doesn't matter. As long as it ignites a new found energy within your life. Go and set up a separate dedicated savings account and nickname that savings account in alignment with that goal, such as my holiday savings, or nickname it my $1,000 project goal, or whatever the denomination or currency that you want to use. Then start thinking about all the different things you can do to bring in extra money, to save extra money, even money that you can take out of your own income that you can put towards the achievement of this goal. Regularly check this account. Regularly add money to this account when you can afford to, and watch it grow. And remember, every dollar you put into that savings account, or every pound, or every euro, realize that you are getting one step closer to achieving that goal. You are heading in the right direction. And you will start to realize it's working for you, and it will feel good. And then when you've achieved that goal, dare to think about what you want to do next. See if you can raise your benchmark when it comes to achieving goals. And be open to all the opportunities and all the blessings, all the wisdom and all the lessons that will also come flowing in your way by doing the $1,000 project. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. If you have done the $1,000 project and you would like to come on my podcast with me and share with me your story, I would love to hear from you, because I get so many emails from you guys sharing with me. It would be great for you to be able to tell your story yourself, because as I've said in my initial podcast, it's such an honor to hear these stories, and I get such a rush of excitement and motivation. I'd love to be able to share it with everyone else, because you then become part of the flow and effect in helping other people around the world create financial fitness and happiness and freedom in their own lives. All right, everyone, thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to make sure that you rate and review this podcast, because I'm being guided by you so that I create the right type of content that helps add value to you and your life financially. And of course, you can always follow me on Instagram at SugarMamaTV for a daily dose of financial inspiration. And of course, peek inside my personal life on my personal Instagram account at Canna Sass. And make sure you're subscribed, of course, to the Sugar Hit. That is our weekly newsletter where I write a weekly blog and I link all my content for you in the one place. So it's a really neat, easy, and efficient, convenient way of accessing all your financial inspiration to get you through the week.
Thanks, everyone, for listening. I am Canna Campbell from Sugar Mama TV.